Hello, hello, hello. It's Jay Allen from ADDAZERO, and it's another ADDAZERO Insights. And today we want to look at what's called possibility thinking. Now, I was first introduced to possibility thinking well over 10 years ago when I first qualified in blue ocean strategy and disruptive pattern thinking. But one of the exercises that we did repeatedly throughout that is something that I've been using a lot recently to support clients to be able to move past this mental block of not knowing how to do the things that are necessary. So let's quickly look at what is possibility thinking. Initially, we do it almost instantaneously or instinctively as a small child when we move into the realms of play. It might be that you only see a block of bricks, whereas for them it's a castle or a car or a spaceship. We're able to visualize and transform something that is physically in front of us into something that we want it to become. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going completely woo these days and saying you can just manifest things out of thin air, but to the same extent, you first have to believe the possibility of being able to move out of the realms of here and now and move back into that idea and the ideology of being able to say, what if? You see, as an adult, specifically as a business owner, we often find that the how becomes the block to the what. Let me quickly show you. When we talk about success, most business owners visualize what they think is possible. When I ask people, where do you want to be in the next 2 or 3 years, I either get one of two very extremes of answer. It's either, well, I want to buy my own island and have a helicopter and a shipping container and this, that, the other, and a villa in every single country on the world. They've either gone completely overboard because that's what they think that social media is teaching us, that that is the measure of success. When you actually drill under the surface and find out as to what they actually want, it's usually far less than that. It's usually, well, I want some financial freedom, but I want some time freedom to be able to enjoy the financial freedom I've got. I'd like to be able to take my wife and kids on holiday and not have to work in the school holidays. I'd like to be able to pick my kids up from school or drop them off from school. I'd like to eat better. I'd like to eat out more. There's a lot more realism to when we get under the surface. And yet the other extreme is they they move to where do they want to be in 2 or 3 years' time, but from a current level of thinking. They stay in the, well, it's really tough right now, and there's a war going on in Europe, and this is happening, and that didn't work out for me. So I can't over egg what might be possible, so I'll just ask to see if I'm still in. It'd be nice to still be in business. And the problem by staying in the now is that it doesn't release that opportunity of being able to think outside the box. Possibility thinking gives us the opportunity to be able to step out of the here and now and move away from reality and go back into that dream world in order to be able to say, but what if? So we take many of our clients through a possibility thinking exercise in order to be able to understand truly what do you want without the constraints of how are we going to achieve it. And it's only when we can part the two that we can actually visualize and understand the importance of why are you doing what you're doing and what is it all for, in order that we can then come back to the reality and say, so how do we create that? And there's a 4-step process that I'd quickly like to share with you today. It's called FACT. First of all, we need to focus on positives. You see, so many people offer a positive, well, I'd like to be able to get to X, and then it's not even a full stop, but a comma. They finish the sentence with, but I don't, but. They create all of these blocks in their mind before they're even a reality. But I don't know how to do that, so I don't think it's possible. Well, well, that's funny, because I'm seeing business owners all over the world that are doing ridiculously well right now. More money is exchanging hands every single day than at any other time in history. It's not the lack of money, it's the lack of consideration or thought as to how do I contribute to that part of the society in order that I can benefit from it. How do I get involved in that level of race? And the simple answer is I've got to remove my current level of thinking. It was Einstein that said you will never overcome a problem utilising the same level of thinking that which created it in the first place. So we've got to be able to part the mind, we've got to be able to separate the conscious from the subconscious, and to stop thinking about the how when we talk about the what if. And we always communicate a what if with positive language. The universe doesn't understand negative. It doesn't comprehend negative. When we say, I don't want more troubled customers, all it hears is, I want more troubled customers, because it doesn't hear the word don't. So we've got to communicate what we want clearly and in a positive language. First of all, focus on the positives. What will a successful or more successful life look like? A stands for ask, and being able to ask some relevant questions. What does that actually look like? What does that mean to you? What does that actually do for you? What will that enable you to be able to do? We've got to be able to not just say the words, we've got to be able to step into that reality and start to see how it fits on us. We've got to be able to ask some relevant questions to identify, is that what we truly believe? Is that what we're aligned to? Or are we saying the things that we think we should be saying because everybody else is telling us that that's what success means to us? So we have to have a series of questions to interrogate those positivities, to be able to ensure that they are genuine and true, and that they are aligned in both thought, heart and gut, that we are aligned with what we're trying to achieve. C stands for coaching. And invariably, and yes, you might argue, well, you're bound to say that you're a coach. Well, in actual fact, it becomes really, really difficult to stay in that possibility mindset if you're doing it on your own. You need somebody to be able to continue to challenge as to whether the how was snuck back in there and prevented us from having true possibility thinking. Blue Ocean strategy is all about disruptive pattern, to be able to challenge the concept of what we think about in order to be able to sit from a different perspective and be able to move to a place of transition from problems to solution. So some form of coaching or an external guide who've gone through a Blue Ocean strategy or some form of disruptive pattern thinking, who knows how to do possibility thinking with you and to keep you in that ethereal place that allows you to be able to think and work at a subconscious level without the constraints of current reality, is almost critical to be able to stay at that level for long enough to be able to create the vision that we're going to be able to then transition and move into, that we then come back to the realities to say, and how do we deliver that? What do we need to do differently or more of or less of in order to be able to move towards that as an outcome? And then finally, it's about taking things off your plate. You see, possibility thinking creates a whole host of new ideas and thoughts and suggestions and motivations, inspiration about the things that we could do. And invariably, we park most of them, if not all of them, saying, well, when I've got the time, I'll do X. So it's important to understand that for every new thing that we put into the mix, we're able to take some things off the mix, out of the equation, park them for a point of time, so we get the chance to be able to move into this place of possibility. So many of us are so busy right now with regards to spinning all of the plates, trying to keep everything alive, that it's invariable that we fall back into doing the doing and don't take enough time to be able to block time for thinking. Trust me, I have 90 minutes 3 times a week that are scheduled in my diary that just read focus time, thinking. There's no agenda, there's no outcome, there's no measure. It's just times to slow the mind down, to allow it to percolate all of the things that are otherwise happening. Because otherwise we move from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, and we forget that it's only when we take time for ourselves that it allows us to be able to unlock that possibility thinking. I hope you found that of interest. I'd love to be able to read your comments below as to whether this is a live and you've watched it with me today, or whether you're watching on a replay. Just use the hashtag live or hashtag replay and let me know what your thoughts are about what would success look like if you could remove the how to achieve it. God bless, take care. I'm off for the weekends to go and climb Snowdon tomorrow, but I'll be back again on Monday with another ADDAZERO Insights. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.